Chapter 13. Glow stepped forward. I intercepted, blocking the way with my left shoulder. You don't want to go over there, I said. There's been a bad accident. She jumped back a step, but quickly regained control. She stood her ground, and her hazel eyes stayed strictly on the activities of the police and paramedics behind me. I told her, 2 men fell out a window. Her neck muscles knotted. Damn, are they okay? One's dead. The other they're shrink wrapping for the trauma unit. You know the people who live there, I asked, trying to sound official, basically bored and ticked off at the same time. But it was a hard illusion to maintain standing so close to her. In the trade, you either quickly get inoculated against failure or change your line of work. Hot leads fizzle out, slick maneuvers fall flat, and loose ends are left dangling free forever. To protect yourself, you expect only failure. It works, too, but also gets so hitting the jackpot can throw you. I studied her grim profile, her skin paler than I even recall, maybe from shock. Her eyes were wide open, tense and alert. Either they were a trap or just prepared for one. Her smell of patchouli was overpowering, like she pumped it out of herself instead of sweat. You live around here, I asked her. It came out sounding glum, close enough. No, I'm on my way to the art museum. Oh, funny thing, the dead guy's an artist, Powers Orloff. Ever heard of him? She took the sucker punch well. Her eyes darted over and jabbed mine. No recognition in them yet, but she was wise enough to know my interest wasn't routine. Behind me, the EMS van siren started wailing. She watched it pull away. You a cop? Do I look like a cop, I asked. Maybe I could stand to lose some weight at that. Then who? In answer, I lifted my arm and jiggled my wrist until the shirt sleeve dropped down, revealing the gold Rolex before her eyes, the one she'd stolen from me the night before. She pieced it together by halves and zagged to her right, my left. My nearest hand snatched her wrist on the fly, and I dug my heels in and wrenched her back to me. Let go, she screamed. Settle down or we'll have company. She bared small, square teeth, but her shout was softer, like steel wool scouring porcelain. Let go of me. She swung back suddenly and flailed like a whip, almost breaking free. Almost. Her legs shut up and I turned, her bony knee only hammering Charlie horses into my thighs. Her boot barked twice across my shin. She aimed a grubby fist at my face, thumb out to gouge. I ducked beneath it and she grabbed a hunk of my hair and yanked. But I didn't let go. I'd spent a long day playing tag with her. I didn't want to have to start looking again. I twisted her thin wrist, bringing her arm upright, tightening my grip to bite through some of her rage. Flexing my wrist muscles caused the Rolex clasp to pop open, the watch sliding down my arm, loose as a bangle. She tried to pry away my fingers, but finally gave up in a frustrated huff. She shook her head resignedly, ending her struggle. Her relaxing muscles loosened my hold. She said, I gotta go see if Valerie's okay. Please, will you please let go of me? If you mean the black girl, Gloria sank to the ground, using all her weight to break free. I was ready for it, and my hand fastened tighter. She hung there, limp as a chimpanzee. Her dark eyes slant-drilled cold hate up at me. Get up. Stand up, I told her, stealing a worried look back. So far, we'd gone unnoticed. So far. For both our sakes, I added with true feeling. She squinted at me beneath her beetle brows. Without saying a word, she surrendered the tug of war. I lifted her back to her feet. My arm was getting kind of tired, and maybe even a little longer. I felt like a mother with an errant child. I spoke sternly. Your friend was killed by the people who are after you. Her eyes went plastic, and all her color drained away. She went momentarily gray, like someone in a black and white movie, sagging in my arms. She was light enough to hold up with one hand. I wondered when she'd eaten last. She came to, focusing on me. Let go of me, she rasped. What the hell do you want? Looking directly into her eyes, I lost all my quick answers and stared stonily. I knew I couldn't hold on forever. I relaxed her arm, saying, You're it. She pulled it off of her like a bird retracting a wing. Tugging her arm to her chest, she massaged away my touch. I refolded my wrist watch band and pressed down the clasp until it caught. I took out a cigarette and lit it, then as an afterthought offered her one. I don't smoke. That's good, I said. Never start. No shit, Sherlock. You're the dumbass smoking. I sighed gray plumes through my nose. She had the nicest way of sticking it to you. She thrilled me. Let's say we go someplace we can talk, I said, and started past her, walking back the way she'd come. At her duffel bag, I stopped and hefted it onto my shoulder. The light bundle was soft, with occasional hard objects floating around inside. It was Army surplus, circa 1970, a name stenciled in faded black between the straps. Private J. Joyce, F Company. Darker pen sketches of horses and monkeys decorated it. I recognized the elongated style from the drawing pad at Jimmy's shack back in Alphabet City. More recent, though, more stains down one side, dry, dark red. She ran up, tore the duffel off my shoulder, and slung it over her own. She asked, "What is it with you?" "I'm only trying to get some answers, like who are the guys who jumped you last night and where can I find them? How come?" A laugh shot out of me. "Let me try and explain something to you. Those three showed up here today expecting to find you. They waited. Your friend Powers protested and backed him out a fifth-story window. He brought one of them along for the ride." She shook her head, trying to make the pieces fit. "Why would they kill Powell? They had no reason. People do a lot of things they don't mean to do, kid. I doubt either one of them meant to do the Humpty Dumpty. What those three really wanted was you." The pause was as silent as a ticking clock, minus the ticking. Just a sense of time being stored away in little packets, never to be reopened. "It's your turn," I said. "What are they after?" "They lost some drugs. They think I stole them." "Why do they think that?" "They're crazy. How should I know?" "What's it got to do with Ted Wiley?" "Teddy? Nothing. He wasn't even working that night. They fired him on Monday. I wouldn't have been there otherwise." "Then this happened at that club where Ted worked, at the Hellhole." "Yeah, but he wasn't there Wednesday night. If he had been, what?" "I wouldn't be surprised if he did do this to me." "Maybe he did. Maybe I should go talk to him about it." "No, I don't want him to know anything about this. He'd use it to try and... Come on, he probably..." She shoved a quaking finger at my face. "Stay away from him." I put up my hands and backed up in surrender. "Sure, forget I mentioned it. Settle down. Hey, you look hungry." "I'm not." "You gotta eat," I said. Jeez, I sounded like my mother. To counteract the effect, I quickly put on a mock tough guy tone. It fit me like a glove. "Excuse me, ma'am, but when was the last time you came in contact with food?" She didn't answer, but as we started walking away again, I thought I detected the crimp of a smile. The first place we came to was a dingy Mexican joint, steamy with green pepper juices, onion mist, and scalding jalapenos. She sat down at a formica-topped table by the double glass doors and went up to order. I half expected her to run for it when my back was turned, but when I looked over, she was still slouched in the same molded plastic chair. Her hat off now, she was mopping her face with it. Her spiky black hair was all slanted to one side. She looked bushed. I carried back a lunch tray laden with bean tacos, beef tacos, a basket of cheese nachos, a side of gray-green guacamole, and 2 big colas. She liberally squirted all the bean tacos with hot sauce like an animal marking its territory. I liked them hot too. We ate, me stopping after only one beef. Voraciously, she kept going. As she crunched into her third, I lit up a cigarette and asked, "You mentioned Wednesday before. Said Ted wasn't working then. What happened that night at the club?" "I don't know." "I don't. All I did was wait in his office." "Whose?" "Ellis's. He was supposed to give me a job. I needed some money and a friend set it up. Got me in to see him, but I didn't..." "Get the job?" "No, see Ellis." I sat there staring at myself for like 20 minutes. He's got all these mirrors on all the walls in his room like a fucking ladies' lounge. Then the door opened up and Stosh came in. "He's the one you hit with the milk last night." She grinned. "He's a bouncer at the club?" I asked. "That's all he is, a goddamn doorman, but he struts around like he's the Gestapo. Calls himself head of security. Dickhead's more like it." "And those other two, Benny and Wade, they're his staff." "So he walks in on you and then what?" He freaked out. Like he caught me crapping on the furniture or something. He starts screaming, "Get out of Ellis's private office." I told him I was waiting for Ellis. She paused, took a bite, and chewed. Nice to see her enjoying the food, but... "And?" I asked. I didn't budge. Another bite, another chew. "So he grabs me out, only I don't like to be touched." It was the closest she came to apologizing. When we got out in the hall, I dropped under his arms and jabbed my elbow up into his balls. "Ha!" She laughed. and blew tortilla crumbs onto my sleeve. Man, he went down boomed. We shared a smile. Then what? I took off. The next day I hear I stole something from Ellis's desk. Did you? She rolled her eyes. Why even ask? Okay, well, what do they think you took? Their weekend supply of Rhino, about 1,000 hits. Rhino? It's short for something, I forget what. It's a new designer drug making the rounds at the clubs. Never heard of it, I said, upper or downer. Huh? Oh, a sort of speed, I think. Ravers dance all night on one hit, have a blast. Only come 9 a.m., yoink, the bottom drops out. 1,000 hits, how much a hit? 20. $20? She shrugged. It's cheaper than ecstasy, harder too. What's it look like? I don't know, white powder? What size dose? Comes in these little piss yellow micro mini baggies, about this big. She crooked her pinky finger and showed me her bitten down nail. I knew what she meant. I'd seen 3 of them imprinted with a rhino horn inside Ted Wiley's desk drawer. How do you take it, I asked. I didn't fucking take it. No, I mean, do people smoke it, snort it, shoot up, what? Oh, they emptied it onto her tongue, sort of like a pixie stick, and let it dissolve. Have you tried it? I don't do drugs. I mulled that over and thought of something else. What was this job your friend was going to get you with LSD? She slurped soda and swallowed. It was nothing. Uh-huh. Problem is, your nothings turn out to be other people's something, so give. You're going to make a big deal of it, and it's nothing. Just helping this guy. He makes the sale, takes the cash, then I go dance with the guy or girl and pass it on to him. I see. So he's off the hook, and you're on it if he sells to the wrong person. Nice job, kid. Or think of snake handling. She grimaced. Whoever's holding never has enough to get snagged for dealing. But you said before you didn't do drugs. I don't, but I got no problem with other people's wanting to fuck up their lives, pollute themselves. Nothing I do is going to stop them doing that. Who are you trying to convince? Look, I need the money. Can you understand that? Too well, I said. It makes you good for lifting the stuff to begin with. She smirked. I don't even think it's stolen, she said. They're all such airheads. They probably misplaced it someplace. How do you misplace that much? 1,000 hits would fit in your hand, man. It's small enough that might have fallen behind Ellis's desk. Sure, or been knocked into the wastebasket or dropped into someone else's pocket. Either way, it's gone, and you're taking the blame, so you can stop fantasizing this blowing over. Now, how do I get a hold of Stosh? I don't know. He'll be at the club tonight. What about Mr. D? Will he be there too? Ellis is there every night. What's Stosh's last name? Who knows names? Who cares? I'd start if I was you. You left him in excellent position to fuck you over. He steals the stash himself and discovers it's gone after people saw you run off. And you aren't around to contradict. Then he catches you again. He can make that permanent. She wasn't impressed. So what am I supposed to do about it? Cry to the cops? They'll be sympathetic. You could try sending the blame back where it belongs. Come with me to the club tonight and we'll straighten this thing out before it gets worse. She laughed at me. I felt the gust of her breath in my face, tasted the hot sauce. No way, she said. She was less afraid now that food was in her. What little color she had returned to her face. Her boundaries were being restored. She rubbed a coarse paper napkin across her mouth, gazing through me, the one-way glass up again. Why don't you, she said evenly, leave me alone, huh? You got your stupid watch back, right? What more you want? I rubbed my brow, strumming the grooves in my forehead, and sighed. Suddenly, I felt a lot older, like both our ages combined, about 49, the year you turned 50. Look, kid, I can go away, but this mess won't, not for you. It's not only about the drugs anymore. Back there, your friend Valerie was shouting your name all over the place. The cops know you're involved. I'm not, she said, as if stating pure fact. Good luck selling them that, with 2 corpses stuck to the bottom of your shoe. But you said the other, I'm talking about Ted. She blinked. What about Ted? Ted's dead, I said. She gagged. But I wondered on what, the news he was dead or that someone else knew. I don't believe you. I don't believe you don't believe. Matter of fact, I wonder if you already knew. How'd that blood get on your duffel, Jimmy's duffel? It's the dog's blood, Pike's. Ted stabbed him when he tore through his arm. Probably some Ted's blood, too, when Pike bit him. But Ted isn't dead. Steadily, she shook her head no. I shrugged. My turn to be evasive. I started bussing our table. Neither of us had touched the grayish guacamole. I carried the tray to the garbage can and slid the trash in. Walking past her to the door, I said, "Come on." "Where?" "Back to Manhattan to regroup. I think I saw a subway station a block back." She followed me out, but only that far. "I'm not going with you," she said, tugging her green knit hat back over her head, down over her ears. Some people you can't tell anything. They've got to find out everything for themselves. I got out one of my business cards and a $10 bill and shoved them into her hand. "For when you change your mind," I said. The dubiously magnanimous gesture leaving me with 2 20s and some silver. I walked away and didn't look back. I was the strong, silent type. I hoped my abrupt manner would encourage her to tag along, but when I got to the head of the stairs leading down to the F train and glanced back, she was nowhere in sight. It made me mad. I wasn't sure at whom. 3 levels below the street, a single platform divided the Manhattan and Coney Island bound tracks. It looked deserted. Either I'd just missed a train or it wasn't a popular station stop. The walls were partially covered in soiled lavatory tiles, gaps between revealing brown caulking smears. Every 10 feet along either side of the concrete platform, columns of green girders glazed by decades of overpainting rose to the high ceiling, the underbelly of the road above. The thick air was steeped in ozone, urine ammonia, steam, and the rot of moldy timbers. I leaned out over the subway tracks and looked left into the dark tunnel for the headlights of an approaching train. Not sure if I was even looking in the right direction. I tried the other. At the far end of the platform, 2 lone figures leaning out from the curving line of girders were looking back at me. I went back to facing the other way, figuring they knew best. I wished Gloria would change her mind. Any second she'd appear, or I'd hear her voice behind me, or a tug on my sleeve, and then the smell of patchouli again. As quick steps closed in, I wanted so badly for them to be her that I didn't look around right away. I didn't want to jinx it. What I get for being superstitious. "Hey," a big barrel voice rumbled behind me. "I know you." Oh, mellowed down. Chapter 14. The blood siphoned from my face as I whirled around. Too late, way too late. He was right on top of me, his black Megadeth t-shirt converging and blotting out half my world. I've always considered myself sort of nondescript, rather anonymous looking, but by the clear, happy hate in his eyes, I knew Stosh had placed me instantly. I took an involuntary step back and ate up the platform margin, my right heel discovering the edge of empty space. Stosh advanced on me, his bald head looming like a huge misshapen toe. I teetered and quickly two-stepped to keep from falling over, falling in. He spread wide his bull arms so I couldn't duck around him. No room to maneuver. I craned to see over his shoulder for some outside assist, but the only other person in sight was his partner in the green sweats. Following my gaze, Stosh called to him, "Benny, go watch the stairs." Benny didn't need to be asked even the once. He scurried away, glad to be gone. Stosh stepped forward and nudged me, butting his chest against mine. I rocked on my heels, clutching the empty air. He pressed down on me, our noses almost touching. His breath was stomach-churning, hot as it whistled down like truck exhaust. "Did you think it was funny," he said, "huh? Throwing that milk at me, huh? You fucked up $200 boots, man. I can't get the smell out of them. That funny to you?" I didn't say anything, only listened for the train, wishing it would come, but not right that second. I thought I heard it too, but it was only the cavernous echoes of traffic high overhead. "Then this morning," Stosh said, anger mounting like a fever, "I opened my wallet and everything stuck inside like glue. All my money and the one photo of my dad. You fucked up the one photo I had of my dad, motherfucker. You think that was funny?" "Look," I said, "you were ganged up on it." "I don't think it was." He puffed out his chest and it shoved me back. I bent my knees and leaned with it, but he kept coming down. I was going over, but I could drag him down with me. I grabbed the collar of his shirt and yanked. The cheap concert t-shirt tore apart in my hand, tattering into rag as I fell backward, holding a rip of it. The station tilted and whirled in flashes of darkness and light. I tucked into a crouch to keep from landing wide and tasting the third rail's 600-volt jolt. I splashed down on my left side, my arm flung out and my Rolex struck steel. I landed in the drainage trough between the subway tracks. I scrambled to my knees, Stosh calling down, "See what happens you fuck with me?" The drain's grate was clogged, its gritty black sludge sluicing through my fingers. When I got to my feet, I was covered in it. I whipped round and for 3 seconds knew nothing but the tunnel darkness, studying it for any sign of light. Don't panic, I told myself. Nothing's coming yet. The platform looked a lot higher from below, an imposing 5-foot ditch. It was like standing in my own grave, except for the size of it, which was more like a mass grave just before the bodies are bulldozed in. I had to think more positive. I was still in one piece. A light breeze from the tunnel tousled my hair. I stepped up onto the nearest rail. The platform came to shoulder height. I could have jumped up and hauled myself to its safety, but Stosh was policing the outer edge, hugging his arms across his torn shirt in a homeboy repose, drumming silver-ringed fingers on his bulky biceps. A happy look flowed down his face and splashed into a smile. I liked him better mad. He had me exactly where he wanted me. All that he required now was for me to beg. When I was a kid, I didn't want to do what I had to do. Didn't want to do. When I was a kid and didn't want to do as I was told, my dad used to say to me, "We can do this the easy way or we can do it the hard way." Usually the ominous words alone, he had a great voice, he used to work on radio, were enough to get me to back down and toe the line. Not until I grew up did it finally hit me. What easy way? There are no easy ways. Every way somehow is hard. I slipped on a lazy voice and said, "Hope you got that out of your system, Stosh, because now we've got business to discuss." He didn't like me using his name. He didn't know mine. Who the fuck are you and what are you doing here anyway? Now you're getting smart. Ask some more questions. It stimulates the brain. Ask yourself how long it's going to be before the cops nab you. They got a good description from Orloff's girlfriend. A pinched, pained look came into his face. In his eyes, I should have been begging to be let up. Part of me wanted that too, that exact release which mad terror offers in bounty. But pleading him wouldn't get me anywhere I wanted to go. The ground beneath my feet began to pulse dully, the sensation growing stronger, just my awareness heightening. Stosh said, "I don't know what you're talking about. I saw you push those 2 men out the window." "Bullshit. I didn't lay a fucking hand on the guy. He went nuts. Stupid asshole killed himself, and he dragged Wade out with him." "That's better," I said. I took 2 casual steps down the tracks to my left. Stosh kept just in front. The uneven ground was too mired in sludge for me to outrun him, but I might have to try. Because deep in the tunnel, some huge thing raged, gnashing steel cylinder teeth like all-edged chewers. I laughed to cover the sound of it. "Man, you screwed up good today, Stosh. You're down 1 man, the cops are creeping up our ass, and you still don't got your rhino back." His eyes bulged. "You hump, don't fuck with me. You're in it with her. See how quick your mind can work when you try, but you're still a move behind. The girl's out. I bought your shit from her this morning for $500. $500? Holy shit, you know how much fucking that paid? How much paid for that?" "Too bad, but it was a buyer's market. She was glad to get rid of it." "Give it to me." "Nuh-uh. I don't think so. Last time a little girl took it away from you. I'll hand it to your boss at the club tonight in exchange for the 5 bills I paid and for 5 more finder's fee." "Go fuck yourself. Think it over. It's a bargain. Right now you've got nothing. I got you. But I don't have it on me. It's someplace safe. So make up your mind. The offer's expiring." Bad choice of words. Stosh thought it over. That kind of time I did not have. Sound and wind built to a commotion in the tunnel. Not my imagination. Trash was rustling on the tracks. A potato chip bag clung to my ankle. Down in the darkness, a furtive yellow headlight ducked behind a not-too-distant bend. "What's it going to be?" I said, unable to conceal my impatience. His partner, Benny, came running down the stairs, jerked to a stop on the last step, took in the situation, and hung back short of the floor. Stosh, there's some kids coming down. Stosh turned and looked down at me and said, Okay, asshole, you bring it tonight. Benny will be working the door. Bring all of it. Don't burn me or you'll find out why not. A high shriek pierced the tunnel. Wheels squealed over a sharp turn in tracks. I reached up to Stosh, give a hand. Fuck you, he said and ran for the stairs, then up them. I took 2 steps and jumped for the platform. I got both elbows on it and clinging to the edge, strained to boost myself up. My body was sore and out of shape. My feet scrambled over the recessed wall below the platform, looking for some purchase, legs only wildly pedaling. A yellow headlight struck me in the face. I kicked off with both legs and dragged myself up. My stomach was over. I only had to pull up my hips and swing the concrete trembled as the train surged in, too fast. Where was the driver? Why no warning horn blast or scream of emergency brakes? 30 feet away, 25. My legs still over the edge. Someone gets caught this way now and then between platform and car. No impact, only implacable train gliding by, pinching your torso snug up to the platform. Only numbness below your belt as the cars roll over and over and roll over your legs over, twisting your middle up like sausage link. The durable flesh endures it until finally train pulls out again and you unravel, then die of sudden massive head merging. I gave up and dropped back down to the tracks, threw my body forward and flattened out in the narrow space below the platform, embracing the slime-slick wall. I hunched my head between my shoulders, cinching my eyes shut for impact. The train burst in, hurtling, exploding the air with one loud, long thunderclap. Angry and undeniable, it vanquished the world, raining down velocity and violence. 1,000 sledgehammers sledgehammering 1,000 anvils a minute. A trampling tumult of 28 tons of skidding over ill-fitting tracks. The shock waves rode the jagged rim of my spine. Train's oppressive nearness, train's monstrous lurching, stood all my hairs on end, the follicles stabbing like sharp metal filings. The vacuum of air clawed my clothes, the mashing, gnarling steel wheels trying to inhale me. I huddled closer to the wall, wind whipping my hair into frenzy, strands lashing out, stinging numb my eyelids and ears. Then, slower, smoothly, the wheels altered their tempo, slowest, coming to a screeching halt and hesitant, shuddery stop. The electric engines idle throbbed. I opened my eyes again. Above me, the doors slid open and light dripped through the crack between platform and car. 3 young kids bounced on. Through the dense ringing in my ears, I barely made out the 2-tone bell heralding the closing door. Then the crack of light disappeared and pneumatic brakes hissed canned air in my face. The wheels turned slowly, squeaking, grinding the rails to polished silver. Train lumbered steadily, building momentum, then it accelerated in a shot and slithered down the opposing tunnel, hooting, gone. In its wake, a wax paper burger wrapper spiraled back to earth. Damn. My voice sounded muffled. Everything sounded muffled, nothing left to hear. When I tried to get up on the platform again, my legs swung up over with a gymnast's ease. Now the pressure was off. I rolled and rolled over until I was 2 feet from the edge. I lay a long time panting, my sweat-soaked shirt clinging to concrete slab like wet papier-mâché. I stood finally and brushed myself off. Little good it did. The brackish waters had saturated my shirt and pants. I smelled strongly of the sump, but even that stink had a sweetness. I breathed it deeply. I was alive. My heart paused on alert. Another train was coming. I heard it, felt its heavy bass groan in the palms of my feet, smelled the stale air it flushed out before it. My hand shot out and gripped the nearest girder, the heavily painted surface as tacky as a cold candle. A Manhattan-bound train hurled into the station like a piston firing into its slot. The wind hit me, passed through me, urged and shoved around me. I flinched and my hand fastened tighter, the knuckles white mothballs. When the train came to a complete stop and the door slid open, I told myself to let go of the girder now. I shook the sensation back into my hand and stepped onto the subway car. But I swore after that I'd be taking cabs for a while.